What is going on, guys? This is your boy XQ420. Welcome y'all back. Another episode, Showtime with the Cube. As always, I've got the powerful one with me, the co-host, Corey Hughes. Corey, this afternoon, this Friday night, how are you doing?
It's Friday? Man, I thought it was
Yeah, it's
Sunday.
crazy, isn't it?
I'm
I
doing
mean, I
great.
mean, June, that's good. That's good. June's almost over. We're getting into July 4th. Hopefully you're doing something very patriotic on July 4th. I think we
I'm
might be
going to
doing
make it
Day
a
Zero
point to
podcast,
this
actually.
year for sure.
Yeah. You're gonna do something very packed. So fireworks. Don't blow your hand off, of course.
Oh, we're
Was it
doing a Day
hamburgers,
Zero
hot
stream on
dogs?
July 4th?
That's what we had discussed. We may be
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah, yeah. You know it. To commemorate the day that we were free from our oppressors. Isn't that right? Well, I mean, I don't know. They said the
Yes.
black folks weren't free.
Because I ever since that day, way back in 1776, as I recall it, that bright summer day, it wasn't a summer, right? I have
Yeah.
never felt like less oppressed in my life than I have since those days in 1776. So I can't imagine feeling less oppressed.
There it is. There it is, guys. We're going to be going over Secret Invasion today. Okay, Secret Invasion, the newest entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the first entry into their TV series since the atrocity that was She-Hulk. Okay, that was She-Hulk. Now, I can honestly say that this has been better than She-Hulk because it's hard to get worse than She-Hulk. All right, that's just all there is to it. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any television over the next decade or so that could be worse than She-Hulk. Guys, if y'all find something, let me know. But damn, I mean, I've seen like some spoof movies that's been better than She-Hulk. So,
I don't know.
we're
There's a
getting
new
into
one out.
Secret
There's a new
Invasion.
movie out called Trump versus the Illuminati, and that might be worse than She-Hulk. But we might have to review that on a future episode of Showtime with the Cube.
So we might have to review that one. That one may be just a touch worse.
I think it's from
So
the
we're
makers
phased.
of Bigfoot versus the Illuminati.
Oh shit! Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So we know how that's gonna work out. So yeah, Secret Invasion. This is we jumping into Phase 5. This is Phase 5 TV series. Phase 5 kicked off with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was a flop. We both agreed on that as a flop. Then we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which we both agreed it was good.
Mm-hmm.
So Secret Invasion. This is going to be solely about Nick Fury and his ongoing battle with the Skrulls. So let's just go ahead. Oh, a little bit of housekeeping. If you watch us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Listen to us on podcast platforms. Hit the follow button there. Appreciate everybody who's been checking us out so far. So, Corey, we're jumping into it. The Skrull invasion, okay? It's here. How did you feel about it when you watched these first two episodes? I just want to know your overall feelings on the quote unquote, because you said something interesting about the storyline, so I want to know your thoughts on the Skrull invasion.
So let me just say this much: I can tell the show has a more serious overtone, and I'm giving it. I'm going into it with an open mind. I'm giving it a chance. I'm not judging it like I judge most Marvel movies before I go into them. Right. So, and I like Samuel Jackson, and Nick Fury is a good character. So, a story based around Nick Fury. However, and call me like naive or forgetful or whatever you want to call me, but I don't recall exactly why the hell he looks like a bum, because he lives in a spaceship. They did not have showers up there or a razor. So I don't get that much. And like, he's obviously, since the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that stuff, I guess he's been on the outs. He's not really in control of much. And he's been living off Earth on a spaceship. So that kind of took me a minute to wrap my head around, because I guess when that was gone over in the previous Marvel movies, I guess my brain had just tuned out by that time, and I didn't absorb that fact or put it into a contextual reality.
We actually see that he's on that spaceship in the, if I'm correct, Spider-Man: Far From Home. I believe that was a post-credit scene in that particular film, because ended up like, oh, the Skrulls were actually talking to Peter Parker the whole time, Spider-Man, and then it goes up. They're talking to Nick Fury on the spaceship and all that. So this right here is his return to Earth, because he's been summoned, because there is an invasion. Now, it's an invasion seemingly of his own doing. Seems like Talos caught all the scrolls. I mean, he caught every single one of them. I mean, hey, man, come chill out here. I mean, hopefully, y'all can hang out here and we can just, live in harmony. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it's like
saying?
it's like when your friend's parents go out of town and you tell your buddy, "Hey, come over and we'll drink some beers." And then he shows up with the entire class, right? Like that's exactly what this guy did. He invited all his buddies. He never told anybody, and the reason it's such a big deal is because they shapeshifters and they could just blend in, right? So,
Yeah.
um, not cool, not
Yeah, that's
cool,
that's
not
that's
cool.
a
You'd think
huge
this was the
deal.
Mexican border or something.
So we're going to assume that for the past 30 years, scrolls have been invading, okay, have been coming to Earth. They've been shapeshifting. So how many events do you think scrolls were actually a part of and shapeshifted into, let's say, an Avenger or something like that?
Well, we should be very careful to not rewrite history.
That's what I'm scared of. Actually, that's what I'm very scared of.
Well, we can hope that they rewrite all the dumb parts of their previous movies and make them cool
Okay.
with the scrolls. Okay, so um I just have a hard time really recollecting their origin except in what the fuck movie, which movie was it?
That's Captain Marvel. So they
Cap
were running from the Kree. Yeah, they got in a fight with the Kree. Kree was whooping their
Like
ass,
two or
so
three
they
times
ran
they
from the
popped up
Kree.
throughout the movie, and then in like
Yeah,
or in a post credit scene. Weren't they first introduced in a post credit scene?
they may have been. It's a little foggy, but I know
That
their
I never
their real
understood.
introduction.
Right,
Yeah, their
like the
real introduction is Captain Marvel.
I'm hazy on that. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch Captain Marvel, or is it Marvel? How are you supposed to pronounce it when you buy your ticket at the box office? Could they have made a more confusing title?
That's why you just buy it online and don't worry. Let me get to the shit, man. The MCU movie. Okay, there's never two out at the same time. Okay, there's usually not two out at the same time. So this first episode actually kicks off with who we think is Ross, which is one of the agents. Well, I believe he was FBI, right? FBI, CIA, supposedly, but it turns out that it's not Ross.
It was a
It's actually a
scroll,
shapeshifting scroll
and he turned
who
himself
is.
in like he was all cool. Like he's like, "Hey, I'm cool," and so he's cool with them. So
Yeah, but but
knowing how
but
things
he
are,
dead now.
and yes,
Yeah.
but
Damn.
see, I was kind of thinking he was like a spy. I think he was going to end up turning to be a spy, but yeah, guess not. Or he
Yeah.
might not
So
even
so
be dead. You
yeah,
never know. Like they can twist end whatever they want nowadays. They can just make stuff up. You can see a guy's head get blown off in the street, and like he in the next show because it was like hologram. So like they can just make up whatever the fuck they want. So you never know what's going to happen. Um.
right.
So
Right.
we
So
go
at
into
this point in
this.
time,
Oh, go ahead. Go
Talos is
ahead.
with Talos is with Maria Hill, and so once they see that scroll, they're like, oh shit, a scroll. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, we knew there was some here. So, but that's when they actually go and they contact Nick Fury. So that's what gets him actually back on the Earth. You can kick off
Right.
where you was gonna go there.
Right. So Nick Fury's on Earth, looking like a homeless guy because they don't have
Yeah,
shaving cream on spaceships, and
I can believe that.
and so when I first heard about the storyline being this was a secret invasion and it was something he had to handle on his own and he couldn't turn to anybody for help, I was kind of puzzled. But once the storyline becomes revealed and it turns out we have shapeshifters and he doesn't know who he can trust, that kind of fell into place for me. And I kind of understood why he has to do this on his own, right? Now,
Hmm.
the criticism that I have, and it's not even a criticism inherent within the show itself, it is a comparative criticism, is that the storyline is nearly identical to the storyline of this final season of Star Trek Picard. Now, the third season of Star Trek Picard, what they did was they used it to kind of bring a closure to the next generation, which had 7 seasons and then a couple movies, and then their storyline
Hmm.
has been like kind of told or hinted about in some of the other shows like Voyager and Deep Space Nine and whatnot. But this, I felt that they wanted to bring closure to the series, so they made the series, and it was a drastic turn from anything they'd ever done. And it was, in and of itself, probably some of the best Star Trek, period, like ever.
Okay.
It was serious. It was well written. I mean, it was the total package. It felt like it could have been in the movies. They could have made it into they could have made it into 2 movies and put it in the movies and made a whole bunch of money on it. But they put it on a TV show. And one of the things that separated it was that it was a very serious turn that you never saw before in Star Trek. Even in Generations, when the Borg was invading Earth back in the 20th century, there was not. It was still lighthearted, and they were joking, and it was, it wasn't nearly as serious. It felt like an episode of The Next Generation. This new Star Trek was very serious, and what it involved was internal sabotage, the breaking into a top secret facility, kind of like the Starfleet equivalent of like DARPA, right? So like there's a break in there and something gets stolen. And so they have to figure out what gets stolen. And then they eventually find out that there was actually a corpse taken from there. And it was the corpse of the original Jean-Luc Picard, because Jean-Luc Picard is now actually he's like Data. He's like a robot, but they put his consciousness in his head, right? A little crazy, I know. But and it turns out that they stole that body because then they could access his memories and all that stuff to access Starfleet, right? And this was all done internally with people in Starfleet. And it was done that way because it was actually the shapeshifters from Deep Space Nine that were called the Dominion. And basically, they infiltrated Starfleet. And so you have Jean-Luc Picard, who was no longer in Starfleet, and he has to come back. He ends up like stealing a ship and going off on this rogue mission to fight the shapeshifters, who are going to attack at what they called, or what was it called? It was like Independence Day or Unification Day, like they had in this show. But the parallels in the actual story writing were unbelievable. They were so close. I wouldn't be surprised if we had like a James Gunn traitor situation going on here, where somebody knew that they were writing this kind of theme and they basically bit the whole storyline. So, if it's anything like Star Trek, you can just go watch the last season of Star Trek and you'll know exactly what's going to happen on this show. That is my biggest fear.
It's saying you would have watched this. It's they pretty much it's just copy paste. It's like, man, that's a great story. Let's do that with scrolls, okay? So that'll clear up everything. We won't even have to work hard on this. Couldn't you just like paraphrase a couple spots, and technically you're not plagiarizing? Isn't that the way that works?
So if at any point they find out that Nick Fury has a long lost son, and that long lost son is going to come back and save the day, then we know that it was just a copy paste job, because that's what happens in Star Trek.
So we will know that it will make it official, guys. That it would be the copy and the paste. So Nick Fury's back, and he's and I know you noticed this. There's no way you didn't. But it does have a little bit of a racial undertone in a couple of these episodes. Nick Fury coming
No.
back, and yeah, he came back, and he's
You mean
sitting
all
there
those
talking
times
to
I got
Maria
personally
Hill.
offended while watching it? Those times?
Yes. Oh, did you? Man said I got personally offended by watching it. But he's in there with Maria. Of course, they're in Russia, Moscow. But
That
there's
was
about
shocking
four
to me.
black people.
That was shocking to
There's
me,
about
because
four
even
black people.
yes, that is actually, I believe there is a black Russian community. I saw a thing on RT about it. They were, promoting their diversity a couple years back. So,
Oh, was that right?
well, they have a
Russian
basket. Here's the deal:
community.
Russians actually have a basketball league, and like they recruit the brothers from over here who don't make it into the NBA. And so, yeah, you get a whole bunch of them over there playing basketball. So
It's about it, though. It's a do not
they're the
fornicate with our
tallest
women.
people in Moscow. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, yeah. So of course, Nick Fury's walking into bars as a black man, and he's just getting stared down. They're like, "Negro, where you come from?" It's like they ain't never seen a black man in their life. They're like, Y'all see this in here?
It was so
So of
funny
course
because
he
that
goes
woman
and
on the
see.
train even makes that joke, and I was like, "Ooh, they're getting
Yeah,
edgy." They made a joke that there's
yeah,
no
that's
black
what.
people in Russia. That's edgy as fuck.
Exactly, exactly. So he's sitting there with Maria Hill, and he just straight up, a spook like me, and I was just like, she was like, wow, I mean that's a little racist, isn't it? Not if I say it, and I'm like, he's got a good point. I'm like, he's got a good point. I mean, and we know this, all right. This is the way the culture works, okay? As a black person, you can say every racist remark about you or your culture, your people, and it's okay. All right, and that's the way this thing works. But I thought it was like you said, a little edgy that they were throwing that in there. I was like, well, dang, bro. I mean, I guess they're gonna try to let it rip a little bit.
and, and just the
Guardians of the
fact that this
Galaxy
was in
had an F
Russia,
bomb in it.
just the fact they said Russia, like, because even Top Gun didn't have
Oh
the
yeah,
balls to say Russia. Top Gun didn't even
oh
have the balls
yeah,
to say Russia when we know that was the whole
yeah. They
movie was
didn't.
about. And yet, right off the bat, it was like, they're in Russia. There's going to be an explode. And it was like a terrorist attack in Russia. And now, here's the thing: on a fucking political level, you don't think the modern day the GRU, which is the old KGB, you don't think they have a division that watches American media and interprets what they're saying in American media? Like, come on,
It
they got a
just
whole
seemed like a
division
weird
dedicated to
time,
that.
doesn't it? Doesn't
Weird,
it
weird,
seem like a
weird,
weird time to
super
have
weird.
bombs going off in Russia and them saying that they're, blaming the U.S. for it? I'm just like, right now? It's like, I'm like, timing weird much? I mean, just let me know. I mean, just,
So here's
I
a
like,
question: how much covert communication is going on between Moscow and Washington, hidden in the scripts of modern day television shows? You know, they got
mm,
intelligence connections to these shows, so you're like, hey, I need you to put
mm-hmm.
this line in there in that scene. Okay, no problem. You know, so like, I wonder.
You might have a good point there.
Yeah, pretty fascinating stuff, huh?
You,
I mean, that's how
yeah,
tradecraft works, and people don't think about it on that level usually. So
yeah,
what
you might
what are
have a
they
good
saying?
point
Are they
there.
saying Russia's going to invade us with a false flag alien invasion? Is that what secret invasion's all about? Is it really an allegory
Oh,
to Russia?
ooh. Mm. I mean, hey,
Come on, where's the sound effect? I
is
know
this
you got
a,
it.
is is this a innuendo? Yeah, it's not working today. I don't know why. Damn Riverside. It ain't working today for some reason. I mean, you may have a good point there. You may have a good point there. Like I said, whenever the show was going on, I was just like, hold on a second, man. This just seems like really relevant right now. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we found UFOs. Hey, man, Ukraine and Russia. Hey, there's a bomb that went off. We're blaming the U.S. I'm like, are y'all trying to tell us something? Y'all trying to tell us something? I hope not, cause I'm too old to fight anything. They ain't gonna pick me no
Oh,
way.
but see,
All
what they
right.
also do is that what they also would do is they would name a show "Secret Invasion," so that when people try to Google the border invasion, all they get is Samuel Jackson.
Ooh. You see, now we're getting deep. Now
Now
we're
we
getting
getting
deep
deep.
on this. We
Uncovering
getting
the
too. We
the
might be getting
covert
too deep.
connections. I know they're going to silence us.
Yeah. We might be getting too deep. Hey, look, guys, this is all. It's all eyebrow raising. There ain't no doubt about that. But we get back and show. Of course, Taylor, Samuel Jackson, they had their back and forth. You know, I keep calling Samuel Nick Fury. And the it pretty much goes as such. Nick, what you been doing, man? We've been looking for a home planet. Dog, do you think planets are just floating around? I can just put your ass on. There ain't nobody there. I mean, I never understood that mission to start off with. Hey, Nick, find us a planet to go to. I'm just like, they just planets hanging around. You can just go habitate. Now, obviously, their body's able to withstand radiation, so they're able to withstand that because the whole premise is with Gravik, which is I'm assuming it's going to be our big bad for the entire series. Is pretty much to try to bring the world to nuclear war. They'll be able to survive the radiation. All the humans will die, and they'll be able to habitat the Earth. It's something that we've heard before.
Oh yes, we've
You
heard
know,
that before.
yeah, 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 nuke the whole world, and I'll roll whatever's left. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's pretty much it. But I've never understood this whole premise about Nick Fury finding a planet. I mean, we know that celestials embed themselves in planets, so they already blowing planets up after a certain amount of time. Earth got derailed in the Eternals movie, so I'm like, what planet he expect Nick Fury to find? That's the real question, and we may or may not find out some of this stuff during the Miss or the Marvels movie. We may not find out anything in the Marvels movie. That I think that was going to be a bomb all the way around. But I'm assuming it's going to have something to do with some scrolls in it at some point in time. Seeing how it's got direct ties within that, but there's a lot of scrolls that were looking to Samuel to Nick Fury for guidance and a home planet, and he hadn't came through. And we find out that Talos's wife is also dead. Not only his wife dead, but his daughter is now with the bad guys. Which I guess technically Talos was the ruler over it, but he got kicked out, because he wasn't doing his job and Gravik took over. So, what do you think about the the whole premise of them finding a planet and what Talos did as far as rallying the troops, unbeknownst to Nick Fury, which made him extremely pissed? What do you think about those sequence of events?
Yeah. So the request to go find a planet. This is where I started to. This is all right. So with Marvel and DC, I don't think of these as like space faring ventures. This is where I started to get lost with Shield, Agents of Shield. I liked Agents of
Hmm.
Shield for a while. It was mostly on Earth, right? They didn't do any stupid time travel or nothing, and it involved all kinds of it had mutants and it had aliens and all the stuff, and it was all good. Then they get beamed to parallel dimensions. Then they start getting in outer space, and then they blow up the Earth, and they're stuck on a spaceship. And this is where like my brain just started to tune out. When I start to mix outer space, like the most outer space that I want in my comic books is knowing that Superman is from Krypton. Like I don't need a whole fucking universe in outer space. I want my superheroes to be saving me from bad guys, and that's it, right? So Nick Fury obviously is not a hero in this. He's an anti-hero, right? Because
Hmm.
he's not. I would say he's an anti-hero, even though he's not like a Black Adam or anything like that. He's
Right.
just kind of a
Not
dickhead
like
of a
Black
good
Adam,
guy,
Wolverine. Yeah. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Right. But I'm. I want to be optimistic about thinking that I'm optimistic about this. So far, what I'm experiencing is that these storylines are not anything new. They're going to end up being more complex than my feeble mind wants to be able to handle while I'm watching it. I'm going to struggle to keep up with characters and plot
Shapeshifters, the
twists.
scrolls.
Yes,
Yeah, because
yes,
every time you look at a person, you're like, is that a scroll?
right.
And then somebody else, hey, is that a scroll? Like somebody comes and talk, hey, is that a scroll? I mean, it's just the only thing that's going on in your mind. Like you sit here watching this thing the whole time, it's like, oh, they must be a scroll. And we see in this episode how they actually um, take over the appearance of the people. They put them in some type of time trance, and then they transfer the consciousness into the scroll. So from the actual human host into the scroll, and I guess it keeps them in some type of trance per se. And then technically they're supposed to assume that identity and not really switch back into their natural scroll form at any point in time.
Right,
Because as we see, Gravik is always in his human shapeshift form.
right.
Same with Gaia. Even Talos every once in a while goes back, but Talos is most of the time he's in his human form. He never really switches back to a scroll form.
And so we have a scene that shows the transfer of consciousness or the memories or
Hmm.
whatnot into a scroll that then turns into human form, right? So they kind of did
Right.
that in order to infiltrate. So I appreciated that they
Hmm.
gave us that scene because it showed us how they did it, right? It showed us.
Yeah.
I didn't see the necessity of the stealing his mind part. Like they could have flubbed that and not had to put that. I thought that was a little bit excessive. He could have just done the shape shifting and that would have been good enough. How they explained that in Star Trek when they did it was when the person, all they had to do was touch you and then they could transfer into you and it took all your memories and everything just by touching you. So I thought they made
Oh,
it a
okay.
little. I thought they made it a little overly complicated. But hey, it is what it is, and I really did kind of enjoy the scene with the interrogation scene. So this girl gets you tell the part, you tell the story lead up to the interrogation
Oh, well,
scene.
that's an episode two, which we're gonna get to right here shortly. So we're gonna close out on episode one. Of course, Talos, uh, he meets up with Gaia, which is his daughter. We find out that Talos's wife is dead. Nick Fury finds this out, and he meets up with Gaia, and they kind of devise a plan. It seems like, so she's part of the bad guys, but then she loves her father, so she's kind of infiltrating the bad guys for her father, and it doesn't work out. At the end of the day, they have the two bags that they're walking around with in the town square. They intercept the bags, but the bombs are not there. The bombs have already been planted by Gravik. Bombs explode, and Maria Hill gets shot in the gut and presumably dies right then and there. Actually, when Maria Hill got shot, and of course it looked like Nick Fury had shot her, but when she got shot, I was suspecting her to change into a Skrull.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too.
I was expecting her to shapeshift. I was like, all right, I'm waiting for it. I was like, oh damn, oh shit, she's dead. Oh wow, okay. And there was a lot, Corey. There was a lot of people pissed about that. There were a lot of people that was pissed about Maria Hill dying right out the gate.
But she was
Now,
always kind of a background character. She was never.
y-
She was never like.
yeah,
Like it's like a big deal, you know.
you you do know why though. I mean, it's because it's some old thirsty dudes, man, just remembering her as being that eye candy. You know what I'm saying? I mean that's just that whole premise, bud. I mean, they're like, man, don't get rid of her. I want to see her again. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, man, dude's always in the rut. That's just all there is to it. So that's why I believe that folks were pissed off. They're like, oh man, you can't get rid of a main character like that in the first episode. I'm like, why can't you? I mean that should grasp you like, okay, ain't nobody safe in this.
The bigger implication is
There's
that
been
this is canon, and you're not going to be seeing her again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the whole point. Well, unless they get some special rock where they're able to rub it and like bring people back and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? There's always like these rocks or something. Look,
Now,
it don't
see,
matter
now it's
what
going to
you're in,
happen.
okay?
You put it out there in the universe, and now it's destined for episode 6. Jesus.
Well, I mean, it's like that in everything, though. Even anime got special rocks. Okay, I mean, there's a TV series devoted to special rocks. Dragon Ball Z. All right, I mean, it's devoted to the special rocks. So I mean, it's just like, hey, it's in everything. So it wrapped up in that first episode. Gravik's plan worked, blew up folk. We find out in episode two, which we're jumping into, that he killed over 2,000 people. Now it sure didn't look like 2,000 people had died. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I didn't I didn't think there were 2,000 people there. I mean, but from what they're telling me, 2,000 people died. So I mean, that's what we're gonna have to roll with. All right, that's what we're gonna have to roll with. Now we got a little bit of a flashback, which I guess we're gonna get bits and pieces of flashbacks throughout this series, and we see that Gravik actually was a young child who supposedly his parents had been killed and he escaped the Kree and all that stuff, and he came, and so he was given the promise. He remembers the promise that Nick Fury had gave about the finding of the home planet. Okay, you're gonna find us some place to live, which once again, I mean, you're already on Earth. I mean, I don't know where else I'm gonna take you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you find young Gravik. Okay, now it doesn't give you a ton after that as far as any type of backstory, which I'm guessing that we're going to see in future episodes. Do you think the way they did the actual flashback was done well in this particular one, or would you like a little bit more information? Maybe just a touch more length on the flashback.
No, I thought it was fine. I didn't notice any abrupt, um, you know, changes in the flow of the show, so I thought it was fine. Um, yeah, that's it. That's all I got on that one.
Okay. Okay, well that's all good. Well, I'm just hoping that we get. Well, of course, we're going to have to see the breaking point between Nick Fury and Gravik. I don't know what at what point in time that was, obviously at that point in time, Gravik was extremely young. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was 1997 when they actually showed this particular flashback. So obviously something happened throughout the years that caused Gravik to have disdain for Nick Fury. Uh, Maybe the loss of someone or something like that. But I did tell you, maybe I didn't tell you. I told somebody that I work with. I said Nick Fury's banging the scroll. There ain't no doubt in my mind. All right. Now I wasn't sure if Gravik was his son. I was like, okay, so that didn't come through. But I was like, Nick Fury's banging the scroll. There ain't no way he been around scrolls all this time and he ain't banging one of them. So Corey,
Well,
the question
there's
is,
he's got a wife,
you,
right? That we meet in this,
yeah, at the end, yeah.
right?
Who is
So,
the scroll?
are you?
Now here's the question, huh? Here's the question. Now you got the scroll for the wife, but I mean,
Are we
she can
sure about
shapeshift
that?
into anybody.
I mean, did
Yeah,
they show that and I blinked or what? Because I don't remember that.
yeah, yeah. Because when he's walking up to the home, she's in scroll form, cutting food. When he walks through the door, she shapeshifts into like the black lady.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So, hey, so at this point in time, Corey, now she can shapeshift into anybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
That's a weird one.
is
Like,
that a decent gig?
you
Is
see, I
that a
don't know.
decent gig?
I always wondered if I had a shape shifting girlfriend, could I does she take requests? Like,
Yeah, would that be cheating?
I think I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how they're supposed to feel about it. I'd be cool with it, but like, you know. So like it reminds me, like I saw an article that I can't tell. It's funny. I saw an article this week that I can't tell if it was like satire or not, but it was about this woman who had a multiple personality, and her boyfriend slept with one of her other personalities, and she felt cheated on. Is that cheating?
It's like it was a great night last night. She said, "We ain't do nothing last night." Yeah, we did. She said, "You mean to tell me you slept with Jenny?" Be like, "It was you though." I said, "No, it wasn't me. I feel you cheated on me." So that's the real question, guys. Leave this in the comment section below. Is it cheating if you ask her to shapeshift into somebody else? Obviously, she picked a particular human form, all right, because it was this black lady. Uh, but I mean, maybe that night, maybe you won't, maybe you say like, man, Mariah Carey, how about that? Or well, whoever's your favorite of the week. Some people are into like, was it like Olivia Dunn or something like shape shift into that? You know what I'm saying? So it just be like, would it get weird if you ask for those requests? That's the main thing. That's one of the things that I want to know. But I had figured that Nick Fury had to have been sleeping with a scroll all this time. I was
And he
like,
knows
no,
it,
he's
and he's
been with,
aware.
yeah, yeah. He's fully aware. He's fully aware. Uh, Now that was the end credit scene. Now, of course, in this one we see Rhodey. All right, Rhodey, which is God, what's his name? What's it? War Machine. Yeah, Rhodey's the
Mm-hmm.
War Machine, and he comes through and he pretty much tells the council, UN, I mean the UK, Italy, Pakistan was up there. He just pretty much tells them to kiss my ass. All right. So I got no info. Kiss my ass. Y'all ain't got no evidence either. So, and now of course we find out that the ministry, UK ministry, has been infiltrated by a scroll. The prime minister, the young woman, is a scroll. So we see that the scrolls have actually infiltrated into many areas, as we seen with the actual meeting that Gravik had with the quote unquote council, which we're assuming that that was the council that Talos was on at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty pissed right at the beginning because they're like, "Bo, you just killed like kids and women and all kinds of stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, what are you doing?" And Gravik's just like, "Yeah, I mean, we're at war. You know what I'm saying? We're at war." And so he seems to have kind of a iron grip on the what will I say, the military side of it. Could you say that?
Yeah, but I'd also say that he fulfills the role of the radical of the group, right? There's
Right.
always one of those.
Hmm.
Like I could think back of a bunch of movies where there's the same exact situation. You know, um,
Yeah, you got a bunch of level-headed people, then you got the one guy's like, "Oh, we need to kill everybody, and that's how we do this." It's like,
right,
but we've infiltrated all these areas, and we don't need to kill a whole bunch of folks. I mean, we're already kind of here, so
right.
it's just like,
The
oh,
thing that comes to mind is Deacon Frost from Blade. Like the
exactly.
vampires were level headed, and he's like, "Now let's just eat them."
Yeah, the rest of the vampires like, hey man, we need to keep a low key. You know what I'm saying? We're in all these high areas. We've got the blood that we need. It's all good. Deacon Frost is like, yeah, but we could eat everybody there. It's just like, Deacon, you're not a pure blood, you know?
I gotta say though, Deacon Frost has the coolest name in any comic book ever. Deacon Frost just sounds so badass.
Yeah, it does. That is a good villainous name.
I love the Blade universe. The
That's
Blade universe is kick ass, and actually, the Blade universe connects to Morbius. I have a Tomb of Dracula #10, first appearance of Morbius comic book, and then
okay.
the subsequent appearances of Morbius appeared in Blade. Because Blade didn't want to hear it. He was turned. He turned himself into a vampire. He's like, "You're a vampire. You gotta die." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole premise there. That's the whole premise there. So yeah, Gravik in the council. Of course, we see Gaia. She's snooping around. Supposedly, they're making some type of machine that is supposed to uh give the scrolls even more power. Even though in that first episode, I seen the scroll straight up like smash like a steel cabinet. I was like, damn, I don't remember them being that strong, but I guess they are already right out the gate. But I guess it's almost like a super soldier serum for scrolls. That's almost what it's like, or what they're trying to do per se,
You know,
from what Gaia has found out.
what's kind of striking me is it's kind of weird that like in all superhero movies in general, like you have superheroes who have powers and who are just super strong, and you have aliens who are just naturally, have their own powers. Why is it that we as humans are always portrayed as like the weaklings of the bunch? You know, that's
It's because we are, man. I mean, I don't know. You just compare it. Everything that comes from everywhere else, man. You know, they always come to this planet, and like something that we got here makes them overpowered. So maybe we need to go to their planet, and then that would make us overpowered.
how they get through the firmament.
But man, everything gets through the firmament. Okay,
Man, you gotta
all
fix your
right.
sound effects. I was missing the wah
Yeah,
wah
yeah,
wah.
I know. Yeah. Damn side, damn it, Riverside, get your shit together, okay? Get your shit together. But but yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. That humans are always the weaklings per se. Well, I guess technically they have to make humans the weakling because there's so many of us, and we use different ways to actually take out what's actually coming to this planet. So
It's
they
like
actually see us as more of a threat. You know what I'm saying?
it just seems like the themes of every superhero movie is that we need to be saved. I'm sensing some sort of like religious allegories here.
That may be the case. That I mean,
And if people should
that
be
could be the
saved by
case.
Jesus and they're being saved by superheroes, then Marvel must be satanic. That's the only alternative.
That must be. That must be. Now we have the meeting with Rhodey and Nick Fury, and they have a back and forth there. Pretty much Nick Fury says, "Hey, look, man, black folks don't get in these situations as far as being leaders over things like this. And so, how about you help a Negro out?" And Rhodey's like, "No."
And he made some racist remarks in the meantime.
I mean, that was a couple. What'd you think about that back and forth between Rhodey, who was Don Cheadle,
Right.
and Nick Fury?
So they portrayed that scene in the trailer from a long time ago very different than how it played out in the show. So if
Hmm.
you recall, he says to him, "You know, your guys are spies," and then in the trailer, they all like shapeshifted like right in front of him and showed him that they were all spies, right? They were not his guys, right? That was in the trailer, and that didn't happen in the show.
It might have been that might pop up, but it might be in a different spot. I don't know. Sometimes they do stuff in the trailer that they don't do in the film
They do some
or
deceptive
in the TV
splicing in
series.
trailers for sure.
Yeah, so sometimes that happens, and people have gotten pissed about that. They're like, "Oh, I seen something in the trailer. It won't even in the movie
Well,
or in the TV show."
in regards to the conversation itself, Don Cheadle starts off amicable, and then there's a sudden turn, and he lets him know in no uncertain terms that you're out, and I'm the reason that you're out, and pound sand and go off and have a nice life. That was kind of like what he did. And so it's not going to work
Yeah,
out that way, because then Nick Fury says, I'm in, and even when I'm out, I'm in. And that's how it went. So
can that be a famous line?
it
I need
wasn't
to
good enough to
record
be a
that.
famous
Oh,
line. It could have been a little more
yeah.
eloquent. That was written by some like fucking woke millennial.
Said a woke millennial
Whoever
wrote
wrote
that
that needs to go back
particular
and
line.
watch some old spaghetti westerns for some good one-liners.
Now, here's what I thought was going to happen when Rhodey's security grabbed Nick Fury and like he turned and like took his gun and like hurt his hand.
Uh huh.
I thought like it was going to turn into a scroll right then and there because I'm just looking for scrolls. They're just
Yes,
everywhere. You know
yes,
what I'm saying?
yes. I was right there with
And
you.
then it'd been like Rhodey been like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't happen. So I was
No,
like, okay.
it was a missed
So
opportunity, but
Rhodey's not
hopefully
in.
they missed it on purpose. Hopefully it's going to go somewhere. Um, Now, even though we had a building blow up, right, we had this terrorist attack go down. That was pretty much the only action, really. There wasn't a whole lot else as far as it
Mm-mm.
was story building, slow build. It was slow in building, and then it was definitely more serious of a tone. So, yeah, I was expecting by the second episode for more action to be happening, but it seems like they're trying to make it more of a psychological thriller.
Now we also had the. This was the moment actually in this episode where Talos allows Nick Fury to know that he kind of invited every scroll in the universe to Earth. Because they were playing that game, like he said with his grandmother. Tell me something that I don't know. So tell me something I don't know about the scrolls. That there's a million of them here, and he's like, hold on, do what? What do you mean there's a million of them here? Holy shit. It's like holy shit. So uh do
I
we feel
liked
that
Nick Fury's story. Nick Fury's build up story about
oh yeah with his girlfriend?
about him playing doctor with his girl, and as soon as he said,
Yeah.
she knew exactly what was going on. Like that build up story was like an intimidation tactic. Like
Hmm.
it was. I thought it was pretty funny. But it was the way they set
Yeah,
that whole
yeah.
scene up was good. I give it 2 thumbs up on that for sure.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good setup too. So at that point in time, Nick Fury is just racking his brain. He's just like, Talos, what the hell? And then of course we go back. Talos is like, man, you're supposed to be finding us a planet to live on. It's just like, dog, they ain't no planets, man. I mean, what planet you talking about? They ain't no planets to put you on. Man, if I put you on a planet, you're gonna have to fight for it. You know what I'm saying? They just ain't gonna let you come in there and just do what you want to do. I mean, shit, man. Carol Danvers been out there in the universe. I don't even know what she does. Does she do anything? Does Captain Marvel do anything? Or Marvel? Man, I don't
Danvers, isn't she
know.
somebody's cousin or something?
Yeah.
That name is like I'm hearing
But
that Danvers, like that name Danvers is from something else, like Smallville or some shit. Like,
yeah, it's just like, but I mean, she doesn't do anything. I mean, she was supposed to be, of course, if we remember, after the snap, that's who Nick Fury had buzzed. Carol Danvers come back.
I
Captain
mean,
Marvel come back.
she could at least get an OnlyFans. I mean, what, she gonna sit around on her ass and do nothing all day?
Oh, Brie Larson. Do you think Brie Larson have an OF? I mean, it's the guys be lining up for my OF. There ain't no doubt about it. So we have that moment. Now we got the elephant in the room, which is Sonya Falsworth, which is the woman who actually interrogates the scroll, cuts his finger off. Um, And of course, in the initial episode, Nick Fury puts a plant in her house, but I don't really know the back and forth of what she's actually looking for, per se. So I guess she'll be an intriguing figure. She seems to be very intelligent. Like she already knew. She's like, it's kind of funny. She's like, "Where's the trap door?" I'm like, "What the hell? She's damn asking them that for?" And I was like, "Oh, hold on. She knows they're gonna come find this dude." So it's just like, she's like, "Hey, when I start hearing some shooting, it'll be like, okay." And that's a hell of an interrogation tactic. It
Mm-hmm.
inject you with that shit that makes your blood
Yeah.
pretty much start boiling. What you think about that particular scene?
Oh, it was wild. But you start talking before they inject you with the stuff. Like, if you ever interrogated, just before they inject you with the stuff, start talking.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
Bro, you caught. All right, that's just all there is to it. If they don't kill you, then your folk will kill you. I mean, that's just all there is to it. So it's just like
So the one thing
she
we
just
haven't talked about, which I think is pretty significant in the show, is the Mother of Dragons and her flip floppedness in her treachery. It's like she can't make up her mind what her deal is.
are you talking about Gaia?
Is that her name?
Yeah, you talking about Taylor's daughter?
The Mother of Dragons.
Yeah.
She's
What was she in House of Dragons?
yeah, no, that's the Mother of Dragons, isn't it?
Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the Mother of Dragons from the
Oh,
original
okay.
Game of Thrones. So,
Oh, okay, okay,
so is
okay.
she a traitor? Is she not a
You see,
traitor?
I
Is
ain't
she
seen the Game
betraying?
of Thrones. I probably need to watch it. I ain't seen it though.
Hang on a second. There's something wrong with the Google Translate. I didn't quite catch that. You see Game of
Yeah,
Thrones?
that's what I said, man. I didn't see it. I seen it on,
That's like saying I
and
never
folks are
ate at
like, "Man, it's a great
McDonald's.
show."
Yeah. That's like saying I never ate at McDonald's before. That's exactly what it is. How have you not seen the Game of Thrones? Probably the last good thing
I don't
fucking
know,
ever put out on that station.
man. Sometimes you miss stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you live long enough. So, that's one I missed. I have to go back. I have to go back and reprise it. 'Cause, I mean, I've heard it's a great show. I just ain't got around to it. That's just all there is
Yeah,
to
so
it. I just ain't got
explain to
around
me,
to it.
is she a traitor? Is she not a traitor? Is she flipping sides? Because I thought she had flipped sides, but then she gets back in the car with the bad guy, and I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, well, I think she's trying to be a spy for her father. Okay, I don't know if she's down with the killing of innocent people for no reason. There's always this turning point where it's like, okay, I'm down with the resistance. I want to get a home for my family, all this stuff, and then Gravit goes out there and blows up 3,000 people, and it's just like, well, that's not what I was looking. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of so she seems to be infiltrating, but I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if it's quote unquote to help Talos or to excel herself up the rankings. Let's say that.
I don't know,
I don't
because
know
it
if
looked
it's
like
to
she
help her
had some
father or for her to move up the rankings. Hmm.
looked like she had some guilty conscience stuff going on. So
Well,
it looks
yeah,
like there's some inner
yeah, yeah.
turmoil
Look,
there.
yeah. I was expecting her to get caught, but of course, when they get my man out of the meat cellar, and then they go by their safe house and they see, oh damn, there's the cops are all around the safe house. Then they're like, it's almost like Gaia kind of set the guy up, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's because he was one of the ones with the satchels on his back
Mm-hmm.
in episode one. Of course, he gets caught. So it's like guys almost using some of them to kind of infiltrate different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. She's gonna be a slippery character because I don't 100% trust her to just all of a sudden be on the quote unquote good team. You know what I'm saying? It almost seems like her motivation will almost be like to move up the rankings within the scroll community or whatever. Not so much so to help her father
Right,
Talos,
right.
which I think she still kind of blames for her mother's death,
Yeah, I can see that.
per se, per se, per se. So yeah, so that I mean that's what I think is happening there. Of course, We still don't get a ton of background on Gravik per se, just except that he's a mean son of a bitch, and he can kill some people. All right, he's got hand-to-hand combat skills, so we do know that he's ruthless. If you snitch, he'll take you out. So yeah, that's what we do know about Gravik. We're assuming that they're making some type of super machine. So at some point in time, one of these scrolls are going to be a super scroll. I don't know. I don't know which one it's going to be, and I don't know who's going to have to come back and fight. But there was one thing that Rhodey said when him and Nick Fury were sitting at the table. It was like, "Well, do you think we should call him?" And Nick Fury was like, "No." And when he says call him, he's talking about the Avengers.
Right.
Which who's technically the Avengers now? Oh God. I
So,
get
okay,
okay.
who is
So
the Avengers? There's none of them left.
The Hulk, Thor,
But the Thor's not Thor anymore.
Captain
The Hulk
Marvel.
really isn't Hulk anymore. Nobody gives a shit about
Yeah, I
Captain
don't even know if he
Marvel.
can fight.
Black Widow's
Ant
gone.
Man, Doctor Strange. I know Doctor Strange. Man, it's really weird with no Iron Man, no Captain America. It's just like weird, man. Shang-Chi,
Marvel
Black
sucks.
Panther woman. I mean,
No, this is garbage. This shit is terrible. Fucking, as you're
I mean
listing it, I'm like getting disgusted.
the Falcon, who may be Captain America. I still can't call him Captain
You
America
can't
because
double
he ain't
dip your
got no
character.
powers, man.
You're not allowed to double dip
Yeah,
characters.
yeah, he ain't got no powers though. I mean, they got to at least give him some super soldier serum before I take him seriously. All right. Man, you got to dip in the super soldier serum before I take you seriously. I don't know, and I think that may have been my problem with the actual Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm just like, yeah, he's Captain America now. I'm just like, yeah, but he's just some dude, though. You know what I'm saying? He's just a dude now. I mean, that's it with a suit, and that's we already had a dude with a suit. That was Iron Man, but Iron Man was cooler. And you're like the Falcon. But I don't know, man. I mean, of course, we're gonna have an Avengers movie. Well, we might have an Avengers movie. They keep moving. They keep moving all the movies and TV shows back. We might have one before we turn to ashes. We might have one before 2030. All
we need
right,
a
another
um, we
Avengers
need a
movie.
Hawkeye movie where he takes on a snowplow.
All right, guys.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, can somebody say too soon? I mean, my
It's
goodness,
been
bud.
months.
But so where's the Hawkeye movie where he fights that snowplow? It's just like, my God, but man has no passion, no compassion. Okay, no compassion at all. So yeah, that's episode 1 and 2 of Secret Invasion. Um, they don't put trailer. I didn't see a trailer for episode 3.
Mm-mm. Nope.
I thought they were gonna put, usually on these they put like a trailer at the end. You know what I'm saying, or a trailer you can see. But maybe there's one on the intraweb. I just hadn't scouted it. But what do you expect to see in episode 3
Honestly, I'm
of
not
Secret
sure. How many
Invasion?
episodes are we getting? 8 or 10?
We're getting 6.
6? 6?
Yes. Yeah, so
Well,
we'll be halfway through it next week.
we better get some shit blowing up next week. Let me tell you.
Man, so y'all better blow some shit up next
They've
week,
been blowing
okay?
shit up for like 20 years in the films. Like they got to get to it.
Like, yeah, y'all running out of time halfway through the series. Y'all only blown up one thing, so
Yeah.
that ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. You mean in 6 hours you only gonna blow up one thing? That ain't gonna work. Get new writers. I guess they wrote this before the writer's strike. Is that right?
Well, I guess they had to have had, yeah, because like I guess like Ryan Reynolds can't even like improv in the new Deadpool because of the writer's strike. Like, I guess the writer's strike goes in effect and there can be no new anything on paper. So I don't know how that works. Kind of crazy if you ask
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. I'm not quite sure either. Episode 3. I expect to seeing how we'll be halfway through the season, which is crazy to say. Uh, but episode 3, I think we'll see the background story of why Gravik gets so pissed at Nick Fury, in a flashback. And that's it. I don't know what else to expect, man. I ain't got a clue. I mean, I don't know where the hell they're gonna go with this, like at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know either.
we just know that they're trying to get nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia, and I guess everybody else have to drop their nukes too, so there'd just be nuclear fallout, so the Skrulls could take over Earth. So yeah, that's what it seems like it is. That's Gravik's grand plan. So let us know what y'all think about Secret Invasion episode 1 and 2. Do y'all have any clue on where they're gonna take this in the next episode? They're kind of leaving things kind of open ended, not really giving you a ton of clues on where it's going, which I guess can be good. Sometimes trailers and all that stuff, maybe it gives you maybe a little bit too much information, so you almost are not looking forward to what you're about to watch. So I could be okay with a little bit of secrecy on this. So, what are your thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion? How are you enjoying it so far? Hope y'all did enjoy this episode of Showtime with the Cube from your boy Cube 420, co-host Corey Hughes. We'll catch y'all on the next Showtime with the Cube. Peace out.